others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
we celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud. I'm Alex.
I'm Drew King, and we're coming to you live from the Barrow Lounge at the Malin West Village.
Nice, I like that. That was good.
And today we have an amazing, incredible, inspirational, beautiful, delightful, bubbly soul, the stunning Lisa Helmi Johanson.
Yo.
How are
Hi.
you? I said it correctly, right?
You did.
Okay,
You
okay.
did.
There was a part of me
What an
that was
intro.
like Johnson Johansson, Johnson Johansson, Johnson Johansson.
That is actually what I do every time I say someone's name and I haven't seen them in even if it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that is so worried about not having someone's name right.
Me
And
too.
sometimes I'm like, hey, I will fully know their name and I'm like, hey, you, how are you? And it's like, I know you.
I know.
Anyway, so
I have that about
third scene.
people's children. I have this.
I have a
deep
list.
paranoia.
I have a list on my phone.
Even though I know their names, though, I'm just
Yeah.
like, "How's your child?"
I know.
Because I
Hey,
get
but
so
it's-
nervous I'm going to say the wrong name.
No, I do that too. I do that
I
too.
mean, I absolutely look children up on, social media handles to be like, do I remember this child's name? Do I remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
One hundo.
Children have social media handles. That's insane.
Well,
They're like,
or their
my name is
parents. To be like, oh God, I wonder if they've put their name on a post somewhere. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really-
Oh yeah,
remember
exactly.
the name
Yeah.
correctly.
I do the same exact thing. Just scouring.
Yeah.
Thank God we have that resource.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
God.
Well, we are super, super, super excited to have you here to have a beautiful, deep, and intimate conversation. Before I throw that on the pot, I'm going to see if I can ramble out credits. Okay. So you are a delightful biracial multi-hyphenate. You are Korean and Finnish.
Mhm.
And you are an actor. You are also a writer. You're
Mhm.
also a singer. You started as a musician. How many instruments do you play?
It kind of depends on the definition of proficiency.
Okay, if you were going to brag, how many do you play?
The number of instruments in my apartment are, violin, piano. There's a guitar. There's a cello. There's a trumpet. There's a flute. There's a mandolin. There's a ukulele. There's a cajon.
What's a cajon?
Box drum. Cajon means box in Spanish, and so it's a
Spanish,
box.
yeah.
So I play,
Oh, it's
I
the
play
one
some
that-
percussion.
the-
Yeah.
Oh my
Gadaka,
God.
gadaka, yeah.
Yeah, we.
Ah,
So
That's
I think those are all
awesome.
of the instruments in my apartment. I don't fully play all of them.
yeah.
I really don't play much flute at all.
Okay. Could you play My Heart Will Go On? That's literally the only thing that matters on flute.
Oh my God. Wow. Deep
That's-
cut.
that's how I feel.
hilarious. My heart will go on. Can you imagine?
So wild.
I just was
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would die. I would just cry. I'd be so happy.
Well, at this point, I also have gotten more practice with my toddler's recorder.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
it's now
Add it to the
it's
list.
become hers.
Add it to the list.
It is actually on the list.
Wow.
Anyway, but
That is wildly
wild.
impressive.
well, it's more just the
It is, though.
the craziness of our industry, where it's like, oh, well, can you do this? Not yet.
But I will
You know what I
figure
mean?
it out.
And it's I started
out.
playing piano first, which I think is such a deep and broad foundational musical
Yeah.
palette,
Uh-huh.
to build upon. And then I started violin in
Yeah.
public school, and violin ended up being what I kind of focused on
Yeah.
more.
Okay.
But I don't know, slowly, I learned trumpet for callbacks, and I then ended up playing trumpet.
There you
But I
go.
joined the musicians union on trumpet, which is one of the greatest ironies of my
Wow.
life, because it
That
was
was the one that
learned
took-
for the callbacks.
I
was like,
love
this is a
that.
joke, but anyway.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I am not a great trumpet player by any stretch
good
of the
enough to
imagination,
join
but
We'll pull up
play.
the videos. Yeah.
Literally is what I play.
I mean, that sounds incredible. I love it. So was that for Into the Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So speaking of credits, you toured with Avenue Q. You toured with Into the Woods. You've done Law and Order episodes. You did your first feature film last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yep.
And then you were also in POTUS on Broadway with
Yeah.
our former guest Lily Cooper.
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and Rachel Dratch and Vanessa Williams you played alongside. Like
Yeah.
how like
Awesome.
remarkable and incredible.
Yeah. Wild.
So you've had this like wonderful, diverse, beautiful, cool career. You're always ever expanding. And today we are not here to talk about your career. We are here to talk about something a little more deep and intimate, which we really appreciate in advance your vulnerability for showing up to this. So we are here to essentially talk about your experience with PTSD as it relates to a traumatic childbirth process and postpartum and all the other tricklings that come along with that. Did I
yeah.
say that right?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably even make it a broader, I don't know, description of just like mental health,
Mental health
like,
awareness, yeah.
yeah, because it's like, it's so easy to just say,
Yeah.
it's so easy to be like, yeah, mental health matters, and it's like, I've been in therapy for years. Thank God. I started in 2016. What do you think that correlation was?
Oh, honey. Yeah.
It's easy to talk about. It's easy to acknowledge like, oh yeah, therapy is great. Therapy is really helpful. But, it really has been just, and like still is, like you are catching me. I am very extremely in process with
You're in the mud. Yeah.
this. Yes. Yeah. With a mental health condition.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally still learning about it.
Yeah.
Like actually last week, like when we were corresponding, I was kind
Yeah.
of like a little quite up and down because I had two, and we'll back up and like explain more, but I had two Brainspotting sessions relatively close to each other just based on scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
But I was describing to my Brainspotting therapist how I'd been feeling in the previous couple of days between the sessions. He was like, well, you're struggling with depression. And I was like,
I am? Okay.
and literally the first thing out of my mouth was, but people know me as a happy person.
Yes.
And I was like that matters. But at the same time, that was the knee-jerk thought of like, but what? Depression?
Yeah.
And the thing is that it's a fucking cocktail. All of a sudden, I'm realizing and even validating what some of these things are. And sometimes labels are helpful and sometimes they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been finding in this instance that the labels are almost helping me stop gaslighting myself against what I'm feeling. It's a way of like speaking truth to it almost,
Okay.
rather than only allowing it to remain a sensation within my body.
Interesting.
Allowing
Yeah.
it to be like, no, actually, this is a thing.
Yeah.
It's real. It's not just, oh, I'm the problem.
Uh-huh.
That's a face to the emotion or sensation
Yeah.
that you can look at straight on and
Yeah.
go, oh, you're an obstacle in front of me,
Yeah,
rather than
you're
just
a real
something
thing,
that
something nebulous,
Yeah,
something less
yeah,
defined.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I
Yes,
was
so
excited to
let's-
have this conversation because, so I also do, after this, we'll dial back because I want to talk about Brainspotting. Like you said, I know you socially. We have a lot of mutual friends. I always
Yeah.
see you out and about. I know you as this like bubbly, like delightful, charming, like really like adorable human. And so 2 weeks ago, roughly, Lisa posted a really beautiful, vulnerable, raw Instagram post that was illuminating for me to see, because even in the midst of your own, when you're your Brainspotting therapist saying, "Oh, you're dealing with depression," and you're like, "What? I am?" It was a really beautiful post that was really vulnerable. That didn't say, "I'm only struggling with this one thing." Here's the cocktail of things that I'm dealing with, and for the sake of Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to speak this out, which was so beautiful, and I'm so glad you did, because that's what I think has brought us here to this conversation today. So, where are you currently at right now? And while we're there, can you tell the audience what Brainspotting is and what has gotten you to investigating Brainspotting and therapy right now?
Yeah. To even get into that is going back a little further and saying that, 3.5 years ago, I gave birth to a child.
Mm-hmm.
It was a traumatic birth.
Can you elaborate on that, or would you
Yeah,
rather?
I mean,
You don't
it's-
have to, but
It was 68 hours long. It's, I mean, it's a thing where, again, it's just a different thing where, you can read all the books, you can prepare yourself in all the ways, and even just saying the words and intellectually, like in frontal cortex wise, being like, yes, I understand that the likelihood of needing to adjust or that things not being exactly how I hope they will be are high. These are, it is a high likelihood of something not being what I think it's going to be. And yes, of course, it's important for people to to read that, to hear that. But when you talk about the dangers of childbirth, the risks of childbirth, that you're just trying to scare people or tell horror stories. And I think that there is a really careful delineation between acknowledging the real breadth of what female bodies go through to keep our, species
Human
going.
race going, yeah.
We don't prioritize, we don't honor it.
We don't honor it.
And that's the thing, is that this also goes into the whole patriarchal nature of our society and culture, where it is actually important in upholding the patriarchal system for the female body experience to be trivialized.
Well, trivialized and shadowed also. Not even talked about.
Not even talked about. Like, much less honored.
Right.
Yeah. And so, if you are to really honor the full experience, then female bodies, I think, would be treated very differently in this world. It's really tricky when I try to, in talking about traumatic birth, there's just this stigma of you're just going to scare people, and while I completely hear that, or the problem with that too is that it's informing, and also when you cannot speak as openly about it, you close off so many people and their experiences. Yes. You shame them into not being able to speak openly because then you're the bitch who's trying to scare people.
Yeah.
Why would you say that to a pregnant woman? Obviously, maybe be careful, tactful, be sensitive, and know your audience, know who you're talking to, and if you don't have certain emotional tools around talking about certain things, you probably can push buttons in ways that are not helpful, but it's still, it's a deeper systemic issue more than it is the individual avenues of people being able to just talk about their experiences. So anyway.
Well, I've been finding that as all of my friends and family members are having kids and I'm hearing about the experience from the mothers, I'm just we didn't talk about this at all in sex ed, in anything after that. It's not covered. I mean, I had a friend who miscarried, and hearing about that process and A, how common miscarriages are, but B, hearing about the process and being nobody knows what this looks like. Nobody knows what this looks like, and we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about the process, about the other thing, we talk about keeping everything in the dark. The fact that you had a 3-day birth, right? And in this country, we have this obsession with getting people right back to work immediately after birth, no maternity leave. It's what your body went through is not a thing that's okay, 6 weeks later, I'm back up and at 'em. That's crazy. Because we don't talk about it, there's policies that are in place that are so dangerous and so counterintuitive to what a mother and a child and a family need after a child comes into this world. And I think any backlash that I'm so sorry that you got any, or if there was anyone that was why are you saying this, or you shouldn't be saying, it's it was your experience. What do you mean you shouldn't be? It was your experience.
To hold all outcomes at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing is that I actually had heard very little besides all of the really empowering, hippie crunchy, all this stuff that I was informing myself with beforehand. But then after the birth, I felt so alone because I didn't actually know anyone who had gone through a traumatic birth.
Yeah.
And I had a handful of girlfriends who had children, who had children before, but I just didn't know anyone. I'd never heard. I mean, besides it being oh, it's hard for a baby, but then, it's okay. And here's the baby.
You hold your baby and everything's perfect.
Yeah. And so, and it really is so real that when you are struggling the most, it is the hardest time to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that like one of the meager times that I tried to reach out to someone who I knew through like a Facebook group for like new and like trying and expecting moms in Queens, where I like reached out being like, hey, could you possibly help me find other people who have gone through traumatic birth? Like, I just didn't even know,
Yeah.
and she ran like a really big group. And I think she was like, oh, come to one of the meetings. And then I just like was like, that's not what I mean. I can't just show up to a group of people like that. Like I at least had the wherewithal to know, like, I needed 2 therapy sessions after I finally got home from the hospital. I mean, in terms of my physical body, I felt like I had been hit by a truck.
Mm-hmm.
But the changes don't stop. And like, again, there's this like, there's an acknowledgement of like the 4th trimester, but it's almost like kind of tongue in cheek. It's like the 4th trimester, right,
watch
ladies?
out.
You kind of still have some stuff going on after.
Yeah.
It's like still like people are trying to have it be honored as a real thing, but it's still like, I think, very much a work in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because women in our society are so used to having to repress so much and soldier on, you just have to push it all away and keep going and be as much as you can to as many people as you can, but that your body is still going through, oh my God, so much.
Could you take us through a little bit of, so you said physically, you felt like you were hit by a truck. That's the thing I hear the most is like exhaustion to a degree that you can't even explain. But like mentally, emotionally, for folks who aren't familiar with postpartum or even just general anything about this, what are some of the things that you were going through or feeling or struggling with?
The full picture is that my labor ended in me getting a C-section.
So
But I
68
also-
hours of labor and then ending with a C-section.
Yes.
Then a C-section.
So, So, and I also like, I started getting an infection in like at hour like 60.
Oh my God.
Her heart rate was going up and down. It was,
Oh my gosh.
it's interesting because like even just saying that, like I can't stop the image in my mind of the room and because it was nighttime again,
Oh
and
my
so like I
God.
just remember like it was like the night descended literally, but also the darkness was descending on the experience,
Mm.
And at hour 54 is when I finally got an epidural. And it is because I had been contracting once a minute since like at least a full day before that. They
Oh
thought
my
I had
God.
been in active labor for like a really long time. Because I kind of had been. Usually contracting every minute is an indicator for active labor. But I hit a point where they manually broke my water, which was like, okay, we're gonna see if this help you dilate faster, right? Because that was the issue, is that I wasn't dilating.
Okay.
I was dilating so slowly, but it didn't make sense in terms of like the ratio of like how the contractions were happening. Usually, it's like that means you're dilating, more.
Yeah.
Baby's getting ready to get pushed out.
Yeah.
I think some of the toughest memories were from after they broke my water, because what that actually means is that the fluid cushion between your pelvis and the skull of the baby, once the water's broken, that cushion is gone. So then the contractions are bone against bone. And
you sat in those for how long?
I don't know the exact hours, but it was many hours.
More than 5 minutes?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And that's when I was I'm trying to utilize all of the
Lamaze.
all of the things that I like tried to
Just breathe
train
through
my brain.
it.
Yeah, breathe through it. I am a tree. I am a fucking whatever. Like all these things. But it's like I literally got to a point where I was like, I'm breaking. Something in me is gonna break. Like there's something in me that knew, like it had been too much pain for too long.
Yeah.
And I could feel that, like, like I
shutting
literally
down.
said, I was like, I think I'm going to have like a psychic break if I keep doing this. So I got the epidural because then I finally realized. I mean, it's God bless my sweet self. In hindsight, I'm like, Lisa, 54 hours, you
You just really didn't want the epidural up front?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
there's more that I've discovered through Brainspotting as to why, I think that I held off or really was trying to do that for my
Okay.
child. Anyway, that's when I finally got it, and even then I still wasn't dilating, blah, blah, blah. Then the infection happened, and then all the things, and then it turned into a C-section. So then I had surgery, and that's the other thing. Ooh, C-sections are not like, they are major surgery.
Yeah.
Because we are able to plan them now, that people think that they are not as significant
Yeah.
as they actually are.
Uh-huh.
And they are significant. It is major surgery. So yes. So then after, not sleeping and my acid reflux the things that happen in labor are just like, what even?
Yeah.
So I couldn't eat, like everything was insane. So afterwards, thankfully you're supposed to start like shuffling around within 24 hours to like help things
Get the
start.
movement going.
moving right,
Okay.
things like that. I didn't even know what had
Your
happened.
body was like went into war. Like
Yeah.
your body was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
not like, it was just such an extreme experience
Yeah.
to go through.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of injuries in my life. I've had surgery before.
Uh-huh.
Like I know what pain is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was
And this was
it's
overwhelming.
beyond
Yeah.
anything that I think So all of this to say, I of course continued therapy.
Okay.
All throughout. And like, we knew that I was struggling, that it was a traumatic
Physically
birth.
struggling and
Physically-
mentally struggling,
Yes,
all the
yeah,
above.
It was all,
Okay.
yeah, like we knew, like maybe last year there was one time where my therapist like floated the phrase PTSD, but not as like a you have,
Yeah.
but kind of just like, oh, this can be a thing that is associated with PTSD,
Uh-huh.
But it actually wasn't until this past January. It's funny because she actually doesn't know this. And it's something that I've been wanting to tell her. Beautiful human, Rose Van Dyne, who is also biracial Korean, brilliantly talented, like a beast of a musician, like an extraordinary musician, so smart, so fun, like awesome,
Mhm.
right? And she also runs this organization where basically we just make a ton of food and take it out into public parks and give it to people who need it.
Beautiful.
And also like sanitary packs
Uh-huh.
of like just, basics. And so I've only volunteered with her a couple of times,
Mhm.
but the first time volunteering, I was like, oh my God, they're carrying all of this food on their backs and the tables on the subway. I was like, oh my God, y'all, I have a car. Let me pick you up.
Yeah.
So we were driving and she was talking about stuff. And what I realized, and I was talking about it in therapy that next week, was I saw in her a light and like a breadth of potential and like power,
Mm.
just so much possibility
Yeah.
that was unhindered. And I recognized it.
Mm.
And I admired it so much in her. But what I recognized was that it was something I had lost.
Mm.
And so I was talking about it in therapy. And I was saying how I wish I had that again.
Yeah.
Like I lost that part of myself and I feel stuck.
Mhm.
I feel stuck and I don't even know what. I didn't, because it's like, oh, it's so hard to have a kid. It's like always all these stresses. Oh, like being a parent is so hard. And it is. But also, I just like something in my body and my spirit knew that there was something else.
Something had been extinguished. Something had gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when I started really, I was like using these specific words, like stuck.
Mm.
Because I had talked about feeling kind of paralyzed by my anxiety at times. And like, so we had like tried to like utilize tools around that. And like some of the things like through my postpartum that I experienced were like anxiety, like almost a constant low burning anxiety. Like I didn't really understand it. And like,
How long did that last for
oh, God,
generally?
well,
Or is it still going?
It's still going.
Okay,
It has
okay.
never gone away.
Okay.
Fully. I mean, Brainspotting now, treatment has been helping it,
But
but it never went away.
the symptoms of your postpartum like just perpetually have lingered.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And it
Oof.
was, they like lessened a little after I stopped chest feeding. That was both like, thank God there was some relief in that because it is kind of a sad thing to be done chest feeding a
Of
baby.
course, yeah.
But I made it, a really long time. So I was like really grateful because I think she was over 2.
Great.
I was able to chest feed till she was 2 and change.
Great.
But what I realized, I was super apprehensive, and it was actually triggering for me because it was a transition. It was a big transition. If I stopped chest feeding with my baby, that meant she was growing into a different stage of her development. And the last transition I had experienced with my baby was her birth. And that
so it just like
it just
resurfaced everything.
Yes. And just because it was all of it gets stored in the body, something gets scared and they're like, no, not transitions.
It all comes up again, yeah.
Then that means bad. That means something bad is going to happen. So even just like, I was like, oh my God, is my milk glistening? Like even that, and I was like, why am I I would just start crying because I would be so sad and scared.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I so scared?
Okay.
And I kind of understood because another thing that I think people are kind of talking about more openly is how, especially early childhood, it's a lot of really small heartbreak along with all of the joy because babies grow so fast that you are constantly saying goodbye to a stage of your child that you will never see again. And it is so heartbreaking.
That is heartbreaking.
It's the most beautiful,
most
excruciating heartbreak that exists in humanity.
Yeah.
And it's worth it, but it is so...
Well, it's
so hard. And
is.
people don't talk about that. Like, just like, that's everyday shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's good. That's why I wanted to have this conversation. And I'm so happy you are opening up and sharing these beautiful, vulnerable elements of what motherhood is, because I think we tend to want to put everything in the nice, neat box that is, I had a baby and it was great. And the second they put them in my arms, everything was magical. And I think we're realizing now that more mothers are saying like, I didn't have that initial click. I didn't have that initial draw to motherhood. I didn't wake up every day being like, it's a joy to be a mom and my life has changed forever.
And oh my God, chest feeding is so easy and beautiful.
Yeah.
It hurts so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
It's like that was the other thing. My pain didn't stop from the birth to the surgery.
Yeah.
Chest feeding hurts so.
Oh
It
no.
hurts so much. For 6 weeks. That's when your fucking nipples start finally getting tough enough. Really, it really is. And here's the
Just imagine if a man had a chest feed.
It's like the most random thing, but it's like the cruelest irony of it is that when your nipples are least equipped for chest feeding is when your baby's mouth is the smallest. And you
God.
you know what I mean? So their mouths get bigger, which makes it easier.
Yeah.
But you need that, you know what I mean? You need a larger mouth when your nipples are like,
Oh my God.
I mean, just look, this is the nitty gritty of it.
The nitty gritty of nipples.
So bad.
Oh my God.
It's so bad. And so many people, like, there's so many things that could go wrong with boobs. Do you know what I mean?
I know. My best friend just went through it
God.
where the baby just simply wasn't latching. And then it was because something maybe that they didn't know the baby had a little bit of a
tongue tie.
And then, but then it was like too late and then they wouldn't latch and then blah, blah, and then it became really painful. So I was like, oh, you just think it's like, and then here we have people being like, you can't breastfeed at the restaurant. And it's like, oh my God, do you know what she probably had to go through to even be able to breastfeed?
Yeah.
Like yes, we do live in this like patriarchal, misogynist world that doesn't care for women's bodies. So, but I'm just happy you're talking about these things because I mean, I'll never have to go through it. But I want other women's and other women's. I want other women and other mothers to hear what the experience is. But in particular, I was reading a few articles in particular about postpartum and about the PTSD that comes along with it, and how it's a shameful thing for a lot of people to talk about it, and that within postpartum there is a lot of the should I let people even know this? You have to keep it in the dark because saying that you have any sort of mentally unwell, like ill will thoughts towards your child is so taboo and so awful and horrible that you like to even share that with anybody is like, well, what kind of a mother are you? You're terrible.
Right.
Exactly.
In particular,
It's so common.
It's so common. And I read this one article about a woman who was in particular talking about mental health, having mental health issues going into childbirth. I think she had been recently diagnosed with bipolar and had to get off of her medications in order to have a healthy pregnancy. And she talked about in her postpartum that the scariest thing was the distance between my baby being alive and my baby being dead is simply just how well or unwell my mind is. And I was like, that is a fucking really hard thing to carry. And for you to then also share that is so vulnerable, but like, how many other people have had those thoughts?
Yeah.
And like, thank God most people are not acting on it, but I mean, look at the animal kingdom. There's so many kids, like animal parents that have babies, and they're like, cool. Like the father comes in and he's like, gonna eat that kid.
Yeah, not mine.
So I don't know. There's just these things that are not all nursery rhyme buttoned up with a beautiful bow.
Yeah.
And I think we need to illuminate what these experiences
Yeah.
are, and that it's not simply just postpartum, and it's not just simply depression. That it is also it's PTSD. It's
Can be, yeah.
it's all of these. So.
Yeah.
Can you talk about brainspotting?
Oh, yeah.
But
Give us
the
just to mention, too,
sorry, go.
intrusive thoughts were a huge part of my postpartum too. And it wasn't necessarily like harm towards my baby. It was a fear. It would be like, oh my God, those fucking movies, Final Destination.
I hate Final Destination. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it would be like, that's what my brain would do to like things. And it wouldn't even just be to my baby. It would be to like my husband, who was like do you know what I mean? Like, and I will admit this because I want other people to know that it's not just them and that intrusive thoughts, because I've talked to a couple of people who are close enough to me where we have been open with each other that like sometimes my intrusive thoughts were me doing something crazy in my head.
Yeah.
And I would have to like form a fist and like literally shake my body to like release myself from the intrusive thought.
Yeah.
And of course, like with my therapist, like we tried to develop tools of like, okay, how do we navigate around all of this and whatever, Anyway, so that big conversation happened. And that's when my therapist finally was like, okay, PTSD.
Yeah.
Here we are. And that's when he finally was like, I think we need to look into other treatments as well.
Was that recommended? I know we're going to go down the path of brainspotting, but was it recommended as the form of medication? Was it meditation? Was it breath work?
So first it was meditation, which was honestly actually very helpful because of intrusive thoughts. Like it, having a
to
practice
slow the
with
roll.
noting and noting things, being able to say like, okay, I feel this thought and I can like release it, you know. And also that with like helping to fall back asleep, like things like that. Noting is really valuable.
Okay.
But then we had this session where he was like, okay, I'm recommending that we need to look into other forms of treatment for your PTSD. And I was like, what?
Okay.
What did you just say? And
Wow.
I was like, you think this is PTSD? I think he's kind of the school that are like trying to not give too many labels. Also because I kind of hyperanalyze things.
I think that's general.
And so, and so like he's
these
trying not to be
days,
like, but I think we had obviously hit a point where he was like, okay. So
This is all signs point to.
all signs point to
Yeah.
this. So Brainspotting was actually one of the first things he mentioned.
Okay.
And he was like, let me
Which
recommend.
is relatively new when it comes
I
to
think so, in terms of-
psychotherapy
yes,
and as a form of therapy.
Yes.
As a
Yeah.
tool, yeah.
So Brainspotting is the next like step past EMDR, which is a methodology that I think more people have heard of.
Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing.
Yeah.
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 I've done
Well
that.
done.
Oh yeah,
I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the thing,
Great.
right? It's like another, like the guy
Yeah.
who was like forefront in EMDR.
Yeah.
He like discovered Brainspotting.
Yeah.
Through the optical nerve accesses your the subcortical part of your brain,
Okay.
which is where, so it's like something happens and your optic nerve is like, okay, we'll put that here. But the interesting thing about the subcortical part of your brain is that there is no time. And so because of that, things become linked through your optic nerve and how it decides to, I guess, basically save memories, kind of.
Okay, yeah.
More based on association.
Okay.
What it deems to be associated enough with the other memories that already exist.
Okay.
So, also what that means and what I am discovering is that while my birth was a hugely traumatic event that had a lot to unpack and still unpack, like, that it is connected to so much more.
Mm-hmm.
Those first couple of weeks were kind of wild because having the even just the label, the information of like, oh my God, this is PTSD. Suddenly, the struggle and also the gift that it was, really painful gift, but gift, is that I finally started acknowledging all of the symptoms I was feeling and not just pushing them away or internally telling myself, why are you so tired? I wish we just get more done. I wish I could just do this. I wish I had worked out today. I wish, you know what I mean? It's just relentless criticism. So finally I did hear back from this Brainspotting therapist. It was even just like a consultation. It wasn't even like a full session. But before that first consultation, it was something that I realized, like a symptom that I realized I had ignored and just like repressed was when I was overstimulated. And I would notice this in particular after children's birthday parties.
Okay.
Because like there are oftentimes, because hypervigilance is also one of the many possible symptoms in PTSD. Okay. And a lot of times like my toddler's friends' birthday parties would be at these big play places.
Yeah.
And it's just, and then the age range of kids can vary. And so like sometimes like my toddler, there's like bigger kids like throwing their bodies around. And like, they can fall, they can do all the things, there's so much going on and it's loud. There's usually music. And then also like socializing with other parents, like there's so much happening. And so after these birthday parties, I would be a shell of myself. And I had to like decompress in silence. Like I was just like, you know what I mean? I just didn't even know what was, I hardly even understand what was happening. And what I realized after my therapist was like, okay, this is PTSD. I realized in those moments and other moments sometimes, I would hear screaming in my head.
Wow.
Which feels really crazy to say. And it's not like active. It's not like an active hearing. It's like it's just like somewhere back there, there's screaming. So turns out, then I do the first consultation of Brainspotting. So I think through other like somatic body healing and stuff that I've done and meditation and Reiki, stuff like that I've done, I think I'm able to find spots in Brainspotting pretty easily. Okay. It comes relatively natural to me.
Okay.
So I don't know what it always is like for other people because I know that the therapists often have tools that they use where they help guide your eye until they help you find a spot. But I just like kind of like am like this and this and then I'm on it. And so
with EMDR, it's either there's several things, but it's like a movement of the fingers or like snapping here or there or like a red dot on the wall or something. It's essentially just training your eye until you, and with EMDR at least, it's thinking about the event that happened while you're watching this, and it kind of
concentrating the memory onto something specific.
It's the best way I have heard it explained is like you're putting one foot in the reality that you're in right now, and then one foot in the memory. You're kind of straddling the reality and the memory and the eye movement, because I think the person who invented it was like out walking and like scanning the ground and was able to conjure this memory of a traumatic event and kind of process through it, because I don't know what I don't have the scientific backing, but what you were talking about with the optic nerve, and it just kind of pulls some of that subconscious focus like into the present, into the memory. Like it allows you to just get into that memory.
And process unprocessed trauma.
Yeah.
That I think the difference with Brainspotting is that you find the spot and you stay there.
Okay.
Now, I've also found that like as I'm going through the Brainspotting, I'll like, but the thing is, I think it's like I start processing something and the reactions can be, I mean, sometimes I'll just like not even know exactly what's being processed, and I'll just have like tears streaming down my face. I'm like, I'm not quite sure. Most of the time, though.
Having a visceral reaction to it. Okay.
Most of the time, though, I am very actively aware of what I'm processing and what's coming up. And it's kind of like wild, the things that I say. They are things that my body knows, but my brain has never known.
Interesting.
And it just like comes out of me because I
Body
know
keeps
it.
the score.
Body
keeps
the score.
When I started Brainspotting, I started reading that book, and I started having nightmares. It was actually too intense for me for what I was kind of working through.
Yeah. Waking
was
the
hitting a
Tiger
little-
is
was-
a different.
Oh,
I
yes,
love
my voice
that one.
teacher told me about that book.
Love that book.
Okay. So with the Brainspotting, I've been, within that first consultation, I found who I call Labor Lisa. There was a part of me who I found like in my mind she was still in the dark. She was in fetal position in a hospital gown on the floor, screaming by herself. And I realized that she had been alone for 3.5 years. She had been suffering by herself for 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know everyone's way with Brainspotting, but what I did in my mind was I, as present now mother Lisa, went to her and I helped her up and I brought her out of the dark and I brought her into sunlight. And we sat. It was actually because there's like Brainspotting music that you usually use too, that it like goes between. It's like binaural.
Okay.
And it like switched to a track that was like ocean waves. And so then I was holding her and kind of just like we're sitting with like just like water lapping at our feet. But I was just holding her in the sun and like letting her, well, basically just like loving her and telling her she was safe.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the PTSD, is that there is a part of you that is still suffering, that still thinks they are in actual danger,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that something bad is always about to happen.
Yeah.
And, we develop tools to try and like abate that. But I think for me, the Brainspotting is such profound healing because it's not just a tool for navigating. It's actually meant to get to the root of the trauma
Mm-hmm.
and bring you back into wholeness with yourself. And from even just that memory, which obviously was like hugely traumatic birth stuff. And I've had flashes of like when I was wheeled into the OR, like all of that, but I have also then since in subsequent sessions of Brainspotting found other parts of myself at different ages.
Oh, wow.
Where,
Okay.
where something happened. And sometimes the ironic thing is that they're like anecdotes from my life of like, I knew them as to be stories that I've told people before, but like, so like basically like another one of these things that I found just like 2 sessions in was when I was in middle school, I started manufacturing a laugh that was very loud and really like sharp and piercing. And obviously like, it was a middle school. I was crying for help. I was like, I was desperate for attention, but I also was so like, like all self-esteem-y everything, right? And my mother does not always have the emotional tools to be curious about behaviors. And
many don't.
Many don't. And so basically there's one time like she picked me up from school and I like did the laugh in the van and she was like, "Why you do that? Your laugh is so ugly."
Oh.
And it's so funny because I've told that story. It's just like, God, that was such a like kind of messed up thing my mom said. But in the moment I was like, oh, that kind of sucked, but it wasn't like I went home and I cried into a pillow for 2 hours. It didn't like feel like that big of an event. But what I realized is that plus many others collectively became something that was restraining my voice. After a couple of sessions of Brainspotting, my singing has changed.
Wow. Wow, it really is so deeply stored in your body in so many different spaces.
My God.
Wow,
This was the other crazy thing, industry-wise. The week I had that first consultation for Brainspotting, the next day, I had just taped on Sunday, and the next day, I got the offer to do Drag the Musical Off-Broadway. And I was like, what? Like, of all the things, I was of all the tapes. And it was like, and I was starting rehearsal on Monday.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. Like, literally, I just, like, my life just exploded a little. And then I got this gig of doing the craziest, wackiest, broadest comedy I've ever done on stage.
Yeah.
There's 3 different characters, insane kind of broad comedy.
Yeah.
Part of me felt like, this is so insane, but I also was like, everything is hard, but I'm on the right path. And so that's what I tried to take in when I got drag, when I just started Brainspotting. And y'all, those first sessions, like, oh my God.
Are probably wildly intense.
I mean, they don't really stop being intense, because then I also started like having what I realized were like panic attacks. And my husband had never seen one. I'd only had them. I would like take Epsom salt baths, and I would just like meditate and like Reiki and like cry.
Okay.
And sob it out and be like, okay, I'm getting in touch with something. But it was kind of like Brainspotting light by myself. But I didn't really know what
it was or how you were doing it. Yeah.
Like I knew there was grief.
Okay.
And I was helping that grief be seen and trying to like let it out or like release it, you know. But it was like, you know, my husband, there was like one bath where he was like, maybe a little too hot, or just like, where am I meditation?
That was way too much Epsom salt. Yeah. You got to pull it back.
And I was just like, all of a sudden I started feeling angry.
Okay.
And because I was like kind of brain spotting a little bit, because that's what I started doing, was kind of like, I was doing my own brain spotting-ish. And I was like feeling angry. And I was just getting so angry at how long I had suffered. I was angry at so many. And so I was like, it's too hot. And I started getting angry at how hot the bath was. But it was because of like I was like in touch with some trauma, unprocessed trauma.
Yeah.
And I literally got out of the bath and I crouched on the floor and was just like crying. I called out to my husband, and he was just like, you know, he just didn't. But I had to just like cry and get out this anger and like talk about like it was like stream of consciousness, whatever it is in that moment. But both that and like another time I was like icing my feet, when, you know, ice baths hurt, right?
Yeah.
You know, until you go numb, they hurt.
Yeah.
So then I start breathing like how you do during a contraction. And I got turned into a bitch. And then my husband had to sit there and like be like, okay, but he had never seen that.
When you start to kick all that up too, just back to, you know, releasing it. And it's so, because I did some similar with EMDR and PTSD with some childhood trauma of my own. You just like, it starts to get, and then it has to come out of you. And the number of time and the kind of crying that you do, it's not like, oh, I'm crying. You're just like slobber, shaking, your whole body shaking. And that's, I think Waking the Tiger would be a good read for you. Because Waking the Tiger is about how when you don't release the trauma in the moment, it stays in your body. And when you look at how animals react to trauma, they don't have their thinking brain that lets them reprocess it over and over. In the moment, their bodies will physically shake out the energy.
I literally tried doing that this past week. I was like, let me just see if I can just be like, and maybe I'm not gonna like, my muscles won't tighten as much, because my toddler just threw herself at me hilariously, but also like,
a few things I want to ask, but there is one thing that I want to talk about in particular, something that we're like just scratching the surface of talking about right now, is the major disparities within our healthcare system, the way that white women of privilege are treated in childbirth scenarios compared to women of color, and the ways that women are answered to in the hospital system of saying, oh, like, if you're in pain, we'll help you, or if you're in pain, just shut up and deal with it, it's fine. So did you have any sort of experience like that while you were in the hospital? Was there any sort of you felt like you were not taken care of in particular?
I would guess that it's, you know, I have light skin privilege, I think.
Okay.
In the like white supremacy hierarchy, I am, you know, not a minority terribleness, right? So I actually, while I was trying to give birth at a birth center, it's actually the last birth center that exists in New York City.
Wow.
And now the Manhattan location is closed. Where I was is closed.
What's the
only
difference?
in Brooklyn.
I actually don't know what a birth center is.
So a birth center is only with midwives. It is
okay, so it's kind of like doing a home birth, but they set everything up for you.
Yes, and it's with professionals.
Okay.
It's with birth professionals.
Okay.
And they have like medical things at their disposal, but it's not a hospital.
So you
But
started at a birth center.
I did start at the birth center, which, you know, so it's like I had a lot of a natural birth, but then I had to be transferred to the hospital because Juno's heart rate was going up.
Got it.
Which they could tell through their monitors there. And so I was like, oh my God, this is what I didn't want to give birth at a hospital. I have to say, once I got through triage, which wasn't like as bad as it could have been. Oh God, the main thing was that one of the paramedics, or the EMTs in the ambulance was like asking me questions during a contraction and like being impatient with me for not answering.
Ugh.
And my husband, who is like a passive Minnesotan white dude, you know, even he was like, can you just, she's literally having a contraction.
Oh my God.
You know what? So that honestly was probably the worst of anything.
Yeah.
Because I have to say, once you get through triage, which it's just then the bureaucracy of it is just so not made for the actual for human care, right? But I do have to say that overall, they gave me as much time as they could.
Okay. That's
They
beautiful.
really
Yeah.
respected
Good.
the fact that I transferred from a birth center.
Okay.
And they were honestly, you know, I really do have to say I was amazed at their care.
Beautiful.
And they gave us time. They're like, we'll give you a few minutes to decide.
Make the decision.
We all, like my
Right.
doula, my husband and I, again, my husband never cries. We all like wept
Yeah.
because of what we had gone through for 67 and a half hours.
Yeah.
You know, we knew we had to do the safest thing for
Yeah.
myself and the doula. You know, it was like,
Yeah.
it became obvious. So like, even though everything was changing, the one grace that I did have is that we always felt like we were making the best decision we could in the moment, you know?
In the midst of crisis.
Yeah.
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 So, as someone who has been having to deal with this for so very long, 3 years roughly, you've been going through
Getting
this,
close to 4. She's almost 4 years old.
which is wild. I mean,
Yeah.
having to look, I think it's hard to like, I don't know, get up and make coffee in the morning. So, like,
Yeah.
to be struggling with like, you know, PTSD and mental health and a bit of postpartum and all of these things while on top of juggling the responsibilities of caring for a child and caring for a marriage. Like, what is the final message you would like to give to women out there that might be experiencing a lot of these symptoms? What's something that you would like to say?
My God, you deserve so much grace. And I know that sometimes it is hard to give grace to yourself. So hopefully in this moment, I can hold some space for you and say that I give you grace. Be gentle with yourself. You are so worthy of care. What you are feeling is real, even if no one else around you believes it. You know your body. We are all guided away every day by our society, farther and farther away from our bodies, from our intuition, from our deep wisdom. And it is the greatest source of our power and healing. And so that is, if I could say that even to myself from over these past 3.5 years, and what I need to continue to say to myself every day, you are enough. Give yourself grace. Be gentle with yourself.
Beautiful. You can be my therapist now.
Oh, God, there's so much more that
I
could be said.
know,
But
I
anyway,
know.
thank you.
Lisa, thank you. That was so beautiful, my love. It's like,
Thanks for sharing that with all
Yeah.
of that.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, God, we could talk for so long.
we could.
But, you know, that's all right.
but this is a nutshell version that I think
I
would be
know.
like a really helpful resource. So thank you
Yes.
for opening up and being
Yes.
vulnerable and sharing that.
Yeah. Oh, my God. And
beautiful.
anyone who needs to reach out, I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
because
where
this
can
industry, my God.
Of course, where can people reach you on the interwebs and where can they find your work if they want to
Oh.
reach out and they have questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, Instagram is probably
Yeah.
the place that I...
What are your handles and
Hurricane Helmi
stuff? Hurricane Helmi
on Instagram. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course,
All right,
thank you.
So amazing.
Now we get to end with
Oh.
our rapid
God.
fire
Oh, God.
round of 10 questions.
First stop.
So as quick as you can. Here we go. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
So
Okay, Atlantic or Pacific Ocean?
It's a Pacific.
What does DNA stand for?
Deoxyribose nucleic acid.
Winter cabin or summer beach house?
Winter cabin?
What's the tallest mountain in the world?
Everest.
Yeah.
Who's on the penny?
Abraham Lincoln.
The mountain one always trips people up. Okay, here we go. Paw Patrol or Bluey?
Bluey.
Do you twist left or right to unscrew a light bulb?
Right.
Lefty loosey, I think.
Oh, damn it.
Okay.
I know, I was like, maybe it's the opposite. Okay.
Would you rather?
No, of course it is.
Would you rather free therapy for life or free groceries?
Well, I mean, therapy.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. Kill, fuck, marry, piano, violin, trumpet.
This is the craziest. Wait.
Piano, violin, trumpet. Go.
Okay. Trumpet would have to die. Fuck violin. I think I'd marry piano. That's
love
the
it.
opposite of what I think.
Okay. All right. 5-day cruise or 1 day on a luxury yacht.
Luxury yacht.
Yes.
Amazing.
Beautiful.
Oh God.
You survived.
Yeah.
You made it
No,
through.
I'm like, well, I like all things. Oh my God.
Amazing.
Hilarious.
Lisa, that was beautiful.
Wait, the light bulb. I can't believe it.
I know it's confusing because you're like, which does it?
Deoxyribose nucleic acid?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so smart.
Nice. Nice. Nailed it.
Okay, bravo.
Oh
that
my
was amazing.
Thank you so much for coming on
Thank
today.
y'all. Oh,
Yes,
God,
this
yes,
was amazing.
of course.
And thank you guys for listening.
You're listening.
Give a
Everyone,
like,
make sure
a
you.
follow, a subscribe.
Amazing. All right, love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.